Venezuelan prison gang known as The violent Venezuelan prison gang known as Tren de Aragua has made a name for itself in the United States, and just in the last couple of days, Homeland Security Investigations has sent out a memo to its staff stating that there are direct threats to police in local areas of the United States that includes Denver as well as Albuquerque. Now, these threats are, quote, to greenlight attacks on cops and shootings of cops. The memo, which went out this week, cites, quote, credible human sources from Colorado that have made the information available to law enforcement. And the source of the memo is from the Chicago Homeland Security Field Office, where authorities say that there is already a presence of the violent gang. Now, many of its members have been known to come into the United States in recent years, with Border Patrol only tracking their movement since March 2023. There have been about 70 encounters of Tren de Aragua members at the border. Now, in addition to that, they've done a huge recruiting efforts in places like New York City and Chicago, as well as other sanctuary cities like Denver now. Denver has received about 42,000 migrants in the last couple of years, and that's the most per capita out of any U.S. city. The ways that Tren de Aragua members encounters of Tren de Aragua members at the border. Now, in addition to that, they've done a huge recruiting efforts in places like New York City and Chicago, as well as other sanctuary cities like Denver now. Denver has received about 42,000 migrants in the last couple of years, and that's the most per capita out of any U.S. city. The ways that Tren de Aragua members are known to come into the United States is by infiltrating the southern border, and that's their main route. However, they've been sneaking in and getting past local authorities and their vetting procedures. And this is because they're not getting tattooed and any of the markings that show they're members of the gang until they're in the United States. Border Patrol sources tell us they can't really do thorough vetting of Venezuelans in general because the Venezuelan government doesn't share information on its own citizens with the U.S., further complicating matters. Really difficult to remove them from the United States, so deportations are very minimal and only to Mexico for Venezuelans. And Mexico only accepts a few of them. They really don't accept the huge amounts that the U.S. would need to deport. The Biden administration has recently designated Tren de Aragua as a transnational criminal organization and has offered large amounts of money for the hunting down of its leaders. In the United States, several of the gang's members have been tied to prominent crimes, including last month's shooting of 2 NYPD cops by a Venezuelan migrant who's tied to the gang. That migrant later admitted to being tied to the gang and also getting tattoos for the gang in the United States after he arrived from the border. He also later admitted that in New York City, migrant shelters are hubs for gun smuggling for the gangs, which are using food delivery bags to bring in their guns to the shelters. In January, the gang is also believed to be tied to the assault on NYPD cops in Times Square. It appears that the gang has been operating strongholds in areas like New York City and other sanctuary cities across the United States, and law enforcement across the country are being warned to remain vigilant about their activities and potential attacks on cops.
Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Knows of the gospel broad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is a quick lesson through the Spirit. Lord's will to be edifying. Going into this new wave of migrants, which is called the Venezuelans. Tren de Aragua gang approves attacks on Denver PD. Now I looked up what Tren de Aragua means, and it basically means the Agora or the Aragua train. Okay, like when you think of a train, you think of like a assembly line almost, or something that's like in concurrent or like straight way of an assembly, so to speak. Like if you look at an L train and it's an assembly of trains together attached to a particular nodes that harbors passengers. So it says the group's name, which roughly translates to the Aragua train, may have originated from a labor union working on a railway project through the state, which was never finished. Okay, so basically, what they're talking about is how these gangs have infiltrated America, which they have not. They didn't infiltrate shit. They were brought over here, or they were intentionally let into the society. Okay, this guy Biden, he allowed migrants to come over here from Venezuela. But not only that, you got Chinese nationals, you got Iranian nationals, Ukrainian nationals, Hamitic nationals. You have all types of soldiers here, man, all right? But yet, what that scripture goes into Judah should be a terror into Egypt. This is nothing more but shedding more light and harm on Jake, man, because when they look at the northern kingdom, they looking at the southern kingdom in the same light. So this is going to allow Esau to just open up on you tribes, man, because even though you got some grimy ass northern kingdom out here, some wicked ass northern kingdom, Ephraimites, Naphtali, Asherites, Simeonites, Issacharites, you know, and just in general, Esau Edom is behind this shit, man. Okay, and they estimated that it's about 50 million migrants that have crossed over the border within the last few years, or within the last decade. I'll say that. They said, I believe, what Denver, I forgot the number she mentioned, but she said like over 40 something or 50 something thousand migrants, or 40 something thousand migrants that have pretty much been harbored in Denver, which Denver is a sanctuary city. Same thing with Chicago, California, New York. These are all sanctuary cities. And what are the chances that the Democratic cities with the most violent crime are the sanctuary cities? Okay, so what I believe through this whole ordeal is the fact that I believe that a lot of these are splinter cells, sleeper cells. You're going to have a certain amount of these migrants, and not only Venezuelans, but Iranian nationals, which they're not really shedding light on them. You know, but they shedding light on these particular suspects because it's just easy to do so. You know, because they like to say Jake is a bunch of savages. But overall, a lot of these are military trained men. Okay, some of them are criminals, and then some of them as well, they're just regular citizens that's trying to live. Because on the other side of the building, we got some people that look like they may be from Venezuela, you know, and I mean, they speak English a little bit, but they just moved over here a couple of months ago, and they speaking everything like that. One guy got a job at the local Walmart and all that other stuff, man, and I was like, where the hell did these people come from? You know, and I made mention of this the other day. Sometime when I do my shopping and stuff like that, I'm starting to see these people. Okay, there was already a lot of Hamites, a lot of Somalians, and a lot of Ethiopians up here. You know, and that's been kind of the thing for the last 5 years. But now you have a lot of what appears to be people from Iran, people from parts of the Middle East, Venezuelans, you know, and they don't speak English, but a lot of them are dressed in the American attire. And it's just like, where the hell did these people pop up from? And then you would see some of them jogging through the neighborhoods. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, these got to be sleeper cells. Because ain't no way in hell that they just allow these people over here. Now all of a sudden they can't deport them. But really, this is Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai's ultimate plan, because he's getting ready to thresh Babylon. And you Edomites, you getting ready to pay, man. You Edomites, you heathens, and you fucking women. You black women, you know, with all your little fucking porn and foot fetish content and all your OnlyFans shit. Hey, these soldiers are sitting back and they watch you. And they getting ready to lick their chops on you. All that twerking you doing, all that twerking and all that dancing and gyrating and all that sexual behavior that you women are engaging in. Hey, when they activate the powers to be, because they getting ready to send the American military to the Middle East to defend Israel against Iran, which is going to directly lead Russia into this conflict. Hey, them UN troops, when all hell break loose, they're going to be the ones that's going to be deployed to your streets. And they're going to force their MOTB upon you. But anyway, it says here, it says the U.S. Department of Homeland Security reported a release of memo on Tuesday, July 30th, that the members of the Venezuelan gang known as the It's the TDA. I can't pronounce that word for shit. Aragua. Yeah, the train the Aragua, the TDA, was given a green light to open fire and attack Denver Police Department or Denver department officers. It says the agency said it was tipped off to the threat by Albuquerque, New Mexico law enforcement. And see what's gonna happen is that a lot of these cops are gonna quit because they know that the Biden administration at face value allowed them over here. I mean, he let them walk right through the border. It was this guy by the name of I think his name was what's this dude's name? He be on Redacted a lot. I think it's Jesse or James Harrell or something Harrell, which he was an ex-Border Patrol agent. And he said that he witnessed them literally letting these people in over a course of years. It ain't just start when Title 42 expired last May. No, he said that he's watched the U.S. government allow people to walk them right into these countries, into this country. So now you got over 50, 60 million migrants, and I think that's a low number. You may have 100 million over here. Because what they estimated, 350 million people living here in the United States? I think it's more than that because, everybody don't do the census. But if you have over 1 million or 50 million migrants here, then, hey, you can quadruple that. But they over here. And it's going to get real bad for you Americans, man, because now you have what they call squatters' rights. Squatters' rights, you have basically they having rights over you. They're getting these particular credit cards. They're getting vouchers for rent. I think it was to one voucher, they said you was getting up to like $10,000 a month. One guy, I think he was he was from Haiti, and he was explaining, he showed the reporter the card, and he said, yeah, I'm a soldier. He said they didn't fill my card. He said they didn't refill my card up, or they didn't load my card up like they were supposed to. And to remember a couple of months ago when those Haitians was coming through the southern boot hill of Florida, and allegedly America is supposed to have sent them back to Haiti, but you never heard nothing else about that. So, hey, this shit finna get real, all right? And these people that's coming from Venezuela, allegedly they emptied out 90% of their prisons, and they sent all of them up here. And I'm talking about these men are wicked. These, like, if you ever saw that movie Apocalypto, when you had basically the Northern Kingdom, them shamans and shit. I mean, they would literally eat you. They would literally split you in half, and they would eat your organs. They would eat your fucking heart. Okay, it ain't nothing for them to chop your head off or set your ass on fire or tie you up to a bush and burn you alive. It ain't nothing that, bro. That's light to them. You niggas that think you're tough with your Uzis and your 9mm, man, and your gangbanging, nah, you ain't seen nothing yet. This shit finna get real, real graphic. But it says the gang is allegedly linked to hundreds of crimes, including the shootings of 2 New York Police Department officers who were attempting to arrest one of his members in June. They had one dude that beat somebody up with a bike tire. He took a tire rack or the tire of a bike, and he bashed dude upside his damn head, man. Running in stores, they stealing from people. And a lot of those are paid agitators too, because Esau pays a lot of them to do this shit. But then you got some of them that came over here to honestly have a living. But it says here, reports have also tied the gang to the brother of the suspect in the murder of Georgia student Lakin Rowley. Both men are undocumented immigrants from Venezuela. But one thing again, I find it very, very funny that the Venezuelan gangs or the Venezuelans that came over here through Title 42 are the ones that's being broadcasted in the left-wing media. But what about the Iranian nationals? What about the Ukrainian? What about those people? One guy walked across the border last year. He said, you don't know you don't know who I am? I believe he was like a known terrorist or some shit. I think he did like 12 years in prison or something like that. And then they seen him walking here to America, and he said, you getting ready to find out real soon. But you ain't heard nothing else about that guy. What are they really planning? But it says here, according to the U.S. government, it says the U.S. border official said that the members of the TDA have been sneaking over the southern border disguised as asylum seekers. They ain't been sneaking. They let them over here. It says, according to the U.S. government officials, the gang is linked to human smuggling and sex trafficking in the United States, which sex trafficking is really government orchestrated. The FBI, the CIA, all of them are involved in that shit. They showed you that in that movie Sound of Freedom, when basically the government was, the FBI, CIA, they was basically sending those people they was basically sending them to him, and they was paying the middle people off, or the middleman off, so they can grab people up, man. So ain't shit that's going down that Esau don't know. He knows everything. He knows. He's behind it. But it reads, it says sex trafficking in the United States, as well as involved in murder, kidnapping, gun smuggling, and a number of prison riots in Venezuela. It says authorities warned that the TDA has infiltrated cities like Denver, Chicago, Miami, and New York City. See, those sanctuary cities. And what are the chances they're all Democrat? All promotes the flamboyantism. They promotes the L to the G to the you know what, the alphabet community, the transformer community. Okay, it was all with this modern day feast of Dionysus. Okay, which is basically what you call the Greco-Roman goddess that Jake was basically worshiping, and they was into all types of orgies and festivals of Bacchus and all this other shit. Orgies, sexual activities with kids. And when you look at the modern day of this Olympics, it was just a total shit show, freak show, man. And you could thank your current administration for that. But it reads, the U.S. Border Patrol has been tracking the criminal organization since the last year's capture 70 of its members. But Border Patrol Chief Jason Owens warned in May that the gang's criminal activities represented a serious threat to our communities. But the Denver Police Department said it is taking the warning from federal authorities seriously and is making sure officers are aware of the safety concerns raised, man. Okay, so basically they getting ready to put a hit out on you fucking cops. And I think that's all set up to deploy a more volatile, or more, how can I say it? A more volatile police force in the form of government officials, or what you call those military men. All right. So let's get a couple of precepts here, and I'm gonna come back to that article, and I'm gonna play the video upon ending it. So this is the book of Jeremiah 51, and I'm gonna start at verses 30. Now this is going into World War III, but in spiritual sense, look at the events that's transpiring. Okay, America is getting ready to be a threshing floor. It says the mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. It says they have remained in their holds that might have failed. They become as women. They have burnt our dwelling places. The bars are broken. This is a predicated into this place being totally destroyed. It says one post should meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end. And the passage, it says, and the passengers are stopped, or the passages, and the passages are stopped, and the reeds they have burnt with fire, and the men of war are frightened. It says, for thus says the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel, the daughter of Babylon, is like a threshing floor. Okay, it is time to thresh her, yet a little while, and the time of our harvest shall come. Okay, and we're in a time now of threshing, of the Most High getting ready to totally break this place down economically, systematically. It's being broken down. Shit, you can forget about morally. These peoples are totally degenerate, man. Like I said, you had this modern day Olympics, freakism, warlocks. You had a fat Christ-like figure that wants to sue now because she was, because basically people was coming against her. Because in this so-called woke culture, degeneracy is at the forefront, and they want you Israelites to bow down to this current system. And this is why the Most High is allowing this wickedness, and he's allowing this evil and this warlike scenarios to take place in Babylon, man. He's allowing it because for your wickedness. So yeah, it's gonna get real grimy out here in a minute. And guess what? They already over here. They shopping at your stores. Okay, they working at your jobs. They're watching you. They playing with your children. All types of shit. They your next door neighbors. And you'd be surprised on how many, like if we had a sleeper cell tracker app to detect how many sleeper cells were living around us, you'd be surprised. They may be your next door neighbors. They may be your supervisor at work. You just never know. All right? It could be the woman you popping, because you're going to have women too. But it says here, the violence done to me and to my flesh be upon Babylon, and the inhabitants of Zion say, and my blood upon the inhabitants of the Chaldea in Jerusalem say. Okay, but the point was in verse 31 when it says the threshing floor. Okay, so let's go back here to 2 Timothy 3:1. It says, you should know this, Timothy, that in the last days there would be very, very difficult times, and we are in the last days. You see, this economy is getting ready to collapse, and when the economy collapses, chaos will ensue. Okay, and then they're going to institute the MOTB, but prior to that, there's going to be literally hell on earth. Okay, and this is when you're going to see these blue hats or whatever particular hats they wear in the form of the military, the UN, which is in contract with FEMA. You're going to see them do their bidding out here. Okay, and they're going to go door to door like they showed you on the first purge. They're going to go door to door and they're going to, first and foremost, eliminate you jakes. Okay, they catch you jakes on the street, they're going to put you down. All right, ain't no warning, get back in your house. Nah, they putting you down on the spot, man, because this is the Lord's anger. And it says here, for people will love only themselves and their money, and they will be boastful and proud, scoffing at Yahweh. And we're seeing this in the form of these other Israelite groups. These Christians have been coming up against us, and ultimately this modern day system, this modern day beast system, this Greco-Roman system that's being spearheaded in the form of NATO and the EU. Okay, this American beast system. All right. They're the ones that's scoffing at the Most High and his many, because they're blatantly defying the Most High. Like this guy, what's this guy's name? Noah Harari. Basically stated like, look, we can piss off the Most High as much as we want, because I believe they mentioned that they have control of the weather. So yeah, man, these Edomites are really, really defying the Most High, and he's getting ready to put an end to this shit. So the battle royal was getting ready to take place on all around, and we gonna have to be locked in the spirit, brothers, because hey, we gonna see some shit out here. These people are getting ready to be straight up slaughtered. All right, they don't even know what's coming. And it says, disobedient to their parents and ungrateful, and they will consider nothing sacred. They would be unloving and unforgiving, and would slander others and have no self-control. They would be cruel and hate what is good. And they would betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than the Most High. And they would act religious, but they would reject the power that could make them godly. Stay away from people like that. One of some false-ass prophets out here. You men that call yourselves Israelites, you guys are going to get thrown first right into this threshing floor, man. All right, because just because you call yourself an Israelite, it doesn't mean that you're a man of the Lord. All right, so this is the book of Ephesians 5, and let's start at verses 15. And it reads, it says, see then that you walk circumspectly, and not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. All right, look at this. So these freaks here, look at these niggas here. But yeah, Venezuelan violent Trinity Aragua gang approves attacks on Denver Police Department. And like we say, people gonna open up on these cops, man. You know, because you cops, you got a lot of blood on your hands too. Okay, you've killed a lot of Jakes just off GP because they're Jakes. Versus Edomites, man. They're literally, I've seen an Edomite throw hands with a cop, and the cop let him off, or the cop just chased him and caught him and apprehended him. Versus a Jake put his hands up for a red light stop, and they'll put 12 in Jake's chest, man. So you cops are getting ready to get your just due as well. You ain't fucking getting away. You know, and a lot of you is going to quit. A lot of you going to go AWOL. Because you know that the system is failing. All right. So let's go from here to, what's Ephesians 5? Let's go here. Threshing, second head, just 4 and 30. And it reads here, let's start at verses 26. It says, matter of fact, this whole chapter is really good. Let's start at verses 26. Then he answered me and said, the more thou searchest, the more thou shalt marvel. For the world hasted fast to pass away, yeah, because the deeds are evil. And we notice that the Most High is speeding the time up, man. And as time progresses, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is going to speed this time up, because in Jacob's trouble may take place over a couple of months, and the missile's going to come and we're going to get out of here. Precept is in Matthews when the Lord said that no flesh should be saved. For the elect's sake, those days are cut short. So once hell break loose in the first sign of Jacob's trouble, which we're pretty much entering into it, but when things fall and there's no law and there's lawlessness in the streets and chaos in the streets, the Most High is going to speed this thing up, man. Okay, it's not gonna be over a 30-year period like they teach in these post-apocalyptic movies. You know, you got like what is it, I Am Legend, you got the Book of Eli, you got The Last of Us. All these survival games take place after the destruction or after all hell is broken loose. No, we ain't gonna have to survive 30 years when hell break loose. The Most High is gonna bring the end quick. Okay, I'm talking about mere months. Once the MOTB is institute, hey, we may have literally a few months before the missiles drop, because the tensions in the Middle East are gonna already be on 10. But it says, and cannot comprehend the things that are promised to the righteous in the time to come, which is the kingdom. For this world is full of unrighteous and infirmities. Yeah, man, because like we said, the festivals of Dionysus, or however you pronounced it, the Queen of Heaven worship, these modern day temple harlots, you know, these Olympic games, man, these ceremonies, these Babylonian ceremonies, you know, all these things, man. When you go into the award show, and when you go into these particular concerts and these BET awards and all this other shit, all that shit goes back into ancient Babylon. Okay, and it goes as far as the Greco-Roman Empire, because they partook in these festivities too, man. Okay, orgies with their particular gods and rituals. It's all the same goddamn thing. But it reads, but as concerning the things whereof thou askest me, I would tell thee, for the evil is sown, but the destruction thereof is not yet come. Yeah, the evil is sown, and the destruction is not here yet. But as we mentioned, hey, you got millions of migrants over here. They already estimated over 50 million. And that was just over a couple of years, so how much more? Okay, Biden could have let millions more over here, and they just didn't put the camera on it, man. But they're coming across the border as we speak. They're in your neighborhoods, they're in your cities, they're in your jobs, they're walking the dogs, and then a lot of them are just out here just doing wickedness. But it reads, it therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down, and if the place where the evil is sown not pass away, then cannot come that is sown with good. So this has to happen. Okay, this present evil world has to fall, so the righteous world, which is the kingdom of heaven, led by Yahweh Shai, okay, down the Israelites, his elect first, that can't come to pass unless this shit happens. And remember, the scripture said that the kingdom of heaven should come in with violence. So this is going to be a violent overthrow, which the missiles are going to finish this place off, and the dead is going to be innumerable. But it reads, for the grain of evil, or the grain of the evil seed had been sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning, and how much ungodliness have it brought up until this time, and how much shall it yet bring forth until the time of threshing come? Okay, and we're in a time now of threshing. And when you go into that word threshing, matter of fact, let's look it up. Let's go in here to thresh, and it's pretty self-explanatory. But let's look up the word threshing, right, and get some understanding on it. Goes into the Hebrew word dayashawai, or dayashah, which means threshing, the process, threshing. Let's look up a little bit more. Look up. Threshing, the process of loosening the edible part of the grain from the straw, which is attached. The process of separating grain from corn, other crops, process of separating other crops. Like when you thresh something, means like you're chopping it. All right. To beat the stems and husks, grains of cereal plants. To beat severely, to thrash. Okay, to thrash about, to toss. And the Lord is getting ready to toss this place aside. He's getting ready to drop this whore like a bad habit. All right. So anyway, let's go here one more precept and I'm gonna end it. 2nd Esdras 16. Just getting ready to get real gritty out here. 2nd Esdras 16, and I'm gonna start at verse 17. It says, woe is me, who would deliver me in those days? Which proves reincarnation is real. Because if Esdras written this over 3,000 years ago, during the time before Yahweh Shai, which I believe the time from Esdras to Yahweh Shai may have been roughly 500 plus years or so. But why would Esdras make a statement, who would deliver me in those days, if it wasn't a such thing as reincarnation? because the biblical prophets understood reincarnation. Okay, they understood the concept of being regenerated, which means back, and gene or generate means in the flesh, so to speak. So back or back in the flesh, your spirit comes back. It's not a hard concept to understand. Nobody dies and go to hell. Okay, that's all folly and that's bullshit. All right. But it reads here, the beginning of sorrows and great mornings. It says great mornings, and the Bible puts emphasis on words. The beginning of famine and great death. Death, because you're going to have famines, you're going to have pestilence, you're going to have riots, okay? You're going to have skirmishes, you're going to have murders, kidnappings, and shit is already happening, man. Okay, people are going to be dropping dead from illnesses. And on top of that, when society fails, just the amount of chaos that's going to take place in the streets. From riots to fires to lootings to muggings, robberies, killings, shootings, military intervention, neighbor on neighbor. It's going to be fucking crazy, man. All right? You're going to see people laid out in your front line because literally neighbor going to go against neighbor because the lack of food. And it says the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What should I do when these evils come? Okay. Now go down here. Let's go down a little bit. 23, it says, and the dead should be cast out for dung, and there should be no man to comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted, and the city should be casted down. Yeah, because once the rioting and the fire and the smoke clears, and when these particular terrorist attacks hit these cities and buildings and bridges are blown, hey, you literally are going to have just a derelict city. Okay, it's going to look like I Am Legend when it's all said and done. You know, then you'll have the wildlife that's going to come from their habitations, and they're going to take the cities back. You know, people going to be dead. You ain't going to have no 911 or no ambulance to come and take people to the hospital because, hey, cars are going to be piled on the highway. Shit, bridges are going to be blown. Things are going to happen. Traffic is going to be backed up, and people are going to literally hop out of their cars, and they're going to run for their lives. So you ain't going to get out of the city in time. You know, you ain't going to be able to get to the downtown area because you're going to be contained to your particular demographic, man. Okay, then you're going to have martial law out here patrolling the area to make sure there's no stragglers behind. Going to be out here with their spotlights. They're going to set up their little FEMA zones in your neighborhoods. They're going to quarantine everything off. They're going to have those little spotlights on your neighborhood. And if they even see something that appears to be living, they're going to shoot it on sight or they're going to detain it. Okay, this is the time we coming into. And it reads, and the dead should be cast out as dung, and there should be no man to comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted, and the city should be casted down, and there should be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. Okay, it says the trees should give fruit, but who should gather them? It says the grapes shall ripen, who shall then tread them? For all the places should be desolate of men. Right, because remember the scripture say that those that don't die with the sword, have the city should go forth into captivity. So you're going to have people in these FEMA prisons. They're going to be held up in your local supercenter Walmarts and your Targets. They're going to be held in your apartment complexes. You know, your baseball stadiums, your football stadiums, your basketball arenas, you know, your concert venues. You're going to have people in there, man. Okay, enforced labor. And they're going to institute that MOTB. And it reads, so that one man should desire to see another and to hear his voice. Before a city, there should be 10 left, and 2 of the field, which shall hide themselves in the thick groves, in the clefts of the rocks. And this is where they get the scenario from I Am Legend, the game The Last of Us, which is a dope game. And by the way, I heard they're coming out with a 3rd one, which in my opinion, I believe they should make one. You know, you can go so far. I mean, you can go as far as you want with that story. But also, it says here, and as an orchard of olives upon every green tree, there are 3 or 4 olives left. Or as when a vineyard is gathered together, there are left some clusters of them that diligently seek through the vineyard. Even so in those days, there should be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. Yeah, because they're going to be on the prowl looking for goods and looking for materials and food and all the, you know, just basic necessities to survive. All right. It's going to be a time of just emotion, high emotions, tensions on high. It's going to be pretty bad out here. And it says, and the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and our ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man should travel there through. Okay? So this is the time we getting ready to enter into, man. And hey, we can be there in a matter of months, just depending on how this selection goes. Whether who wins or not, this is gonna still play out because the will of the Lord stands. But anyway, with that, I'm gonna close out, giving all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Rakakwadash. Lord's will, you were edified. Until the next lesson. Shalom.
Piece of history worth? A lot, right? Well, what if that piece of history is a piece of one of the greatest legends in sports? The jersey worn by Babe Ruth.
Oh, shut the hell up.